Hi, I'm David Pixley, the muzzle from themuzzlemastering.com, and I'm going to be doing some experimenting today. Hi. Okay, and I have my other laptop set up so I can view comments. So periodically I will do that and respond. Um, so, no secret, I'm a huge fan of Airwindows plugins. They're free. And the one that is my favorite plugin of all time is called uLaw, and it's a very strange plugin. Anything that you stick inside of uLaw changes drastically and usually unpredictably. And I have some things that I played around with before, so the first thing I'll do is go ahead and see what happens with those. And the song that I will be streaming today is from an artist called Infinati, and the song is called Pineapple Express. It's an unreleased song, and I'm gonna master it for him. So the first thing I think I'm gonna do, since I can see that it's not loud. In other words, it might be too quiet. I'm going to go ahead and turn it up. And while I'm at it, first I'll go ahead and just play it, and we'll see what the loudness is. Let me make sure all the effects are off first. And here we go. So I see that it's hitting about minus 30 LUFS, and I did tell him to render this very quiet, and thanks to Airwindows, I can turn it up without losing any quality, and I believe the noise floor will stay the same with bit shift gain. If you turn it up 1 bit, that's the equivalent of 6 dB. So it was at minus 30. I'm going to go ahead and go for so that should be like at minus 18. So that'll be fine for this. So in case you didn't pick it up when I was fooling around with this 2-tape fatter is the bass boost, softer tames the highs, louder is the drive or gain. I think it's drive, and then wet dry. I usually leave flutter alone. If you do use flutter, it's good at around like 12 or 13. And if you do use flutter, you want to make sure that that dry wet is all the way on wet. If you introduce the dry, it starts to do a flanging, which you can hear if I turn it way up. The clean mixed with the flutter makes this kind of flanging effect. BassKit is one of my favorite plugins. It works for mastering. In this case, I'll try some extreme things. So as I adjust this voicing, listen to the bass. So this bass out is like the bass. The sub out is the sub bass. You got to be careful with that. And I'm not on speakers, so if I'm slamming your speakers too much, I apologize. In fact, speaking of slamming your speakers, I believe I will be nice, and I will add a bit shift gain to the end and turn that shit down. I'm sorry, I'm not allowed to curse on YouTube. I will be turning that shiz down with bit shift gain. And if you say that real fast, because it's all one word, bit shift gain, YouTube flags you because they think you're saying a curse word. So you know what? I'm not sure if these are the updated AirWindows plugins because I installed them, but I need to scan for them. They should be seeing 2 of each plugin, but I'm not. I wonder if I can just, let me see here. Let me just make sure my screen is working. If you have any comments or questions, go ahead and leave them in the comment area, and I will periodically check. I was hoping that I could go and see like where the location is for that, but no. Well, let me see. I'm going to add a bit shift gain. Let me see, and I'm going to turn it down just so that for those of you who do have subs, if I slam it too much without knowing, it won't kill your speakers. Oh, I realize you can't hear the song. Okay. Why is that? Okay, that worked, but then it was coming through the mic as well. So maybe I can add something from OBS. Damn it, I didn't want this to be a troubleshooting audio output capture. Okay, that worked. So now that should be fine. And if it's too loud for you guys or anything, let me know. Let me know if my mic sounds okay. I see that Sergio Blue is viewing. Okay, so what I've done so far, I raised it up by 12 dB. At the end of my chain I lowered it by 6 dB, also with bit shift gain. I used this 2-tape plugin. I'll give you a little run through of it. So softer tames the highs, fatter adds the bass.
Pineapples are legit.
And this is one of my favorite plugins, Bass Kit.
I'm standing out in front of Sizzle Bog.
Does some crazy
recording
shit.
artists who have decided to record my voice for their latest track. So we're going to go ahead and drop the beat on
To
that
listen
shit right
to
now,
the
right
tone
now,
of
right
the
now,
bass
right now.
as I adjust the voicing. It'll go higher and
And I can say
lower.
whatever else I want. And I can say whatever else I want.
Again, I'm not using speakers, so if I slam the subs, I apologize. And if it's too loud, let me know. So let's find a section where that bass is heavy. pretty much the whole track except the intro. Now listen to the bass. Here, actually, to demonstrate this, I'll just grab a very short loop. So that sounds pretty good to me, but yeah, I would do that in headphones. So I'm going to get to the experimental part soon. Let me see, what do I want to do? This is a high pass filter here. It's got like, this high pass filter is nice. It's got multiple points. And so it starts to come down slower at first, and then at each point it goes like the slope gets steeper, and at lower settings, like if you just introduce it here, it's like very subtle, and as you go up it kind of, but it's like real smooth because it's like real gradual, I would say. You can adjust the slope. The hell? I think I slammed the bass up a too much bit. I'm going to go ahead and lower that. I'm going to go ahead and use this max bass just because I'm on headphones. As long as it doesn't kill my CPU. That was massively clipping. Let me see. Oh, I got 100% CPU. Damn it.
We're gonna go ahead and drop the beat on that shit right now.
My CPU is glitched, so I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this max bass. Actually, 2-tape is the one that's doing all the damage.
We're gonna go ahead and drop the beat on that shit right now. Pineapples are legit. And I can say whatever else I want because I'm standing out in front of Sizzle Pie, meeting 2 independent recording artists who have decided to record my voice for their latest track. So we're going to go ahead and drop the beat on that shit right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. And I can say whatever else I want. And I can say whatever else I want.
Oh, shout out to Sergio's imaginary girlfriend.
About to beat on that shit right now. Shit right now. All legit. We're gonna go ahead and about to beat on that shit right now. Pineapples are legit. And I can say whatever else I want because I'm standing out in front of Sizzle by meeting two independent recording artists who have decided to record my voice for their latest track. So we're gonna go ahead and about to beat on that shit right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. Now. And I can say whatever else I want. And I can say whatever else I want.
Gotta turn the gate on my mic up. Seems to be picking up like wind and stuff. In fact, I'll just mute the mic. No, it's all good.
We're gonna go ahead and about to beat on that shit right now. All legit. We're gonna go ahead and about to beat on that shit right now. We're gonna go ahead and about to beat on that shit right now.
See, that's what I'm talking about. I hope that I'm going to go ahead and pad this heavily again. I'm turning it down by 12 dB minus 2 bit shift. On my OBS, it's turned another 12. Yeah, I had to gate my microphone, and I have to periodically mute it. So if I'm talking and you can't hear, then just please bear with me. Also, that was muted when I was explaining before, this Airwindows uLaw. Anything that you place in between it will act differently, usually unpredictably. It usually makes things turn into like beefed up, destructive monsters of what they were before. So like, for example, if you put an EQ in there, it will make it almost sound like if you were putting it through an analog console, but yeah, it's really going to be different on every plugin. And if you put more than one plugin inside of it, then for example, if base kit was the only thing on, then it would act a certain way. When you start adding more things, then it's going to act a different way. So base kit will act differently when you start adding other plugins inside there. It looks like I turned it down before I ran it into spiral, which is a distortion, so it makes it more smooth. So I'll go ahead and play it, and I'll turn off and on uLaw, and you be the judge of what's going on. And we'll get to the dithering experiment in a bit. So that's with them off. And yeah, shout out to Sergio Blue's imaginary girlfriend, in case you missed that before.
We're gonna go ahead and drop the beat on that shit right now.
And then this is what it sounds like with uLaw turned on. Now check it out, when I turn up the subs out with uLaw on, it should very quickly get totally destroyed. And oh, did that spike in volume, did that hurt your speakers? Let me know. That hurt my ears for a second, but it's quieter for you. That's a pretty big difference there on that one. Let's turn everything off except for D-Res. Oh, we gotta be careful with those bit shift gains. So this is just D-Res, which is a bit crusher and a frequency crusher. That's what it sounds like on its own. Make it real nasty. So that's crushed. Rate is the bit rate, and res, that's the frequency. So that's like, now what happens when we turn uLaw on. Get ready. Actually, that wasn't that bad. Kind of makes it more subtle. But then what happens when you add bass kit to that? Before it, let's see. Well, I expected a lot worse. There we go. So this is just bass kit, res. That's crazy. It like goes like in for a second. And let's see what happens with uLaw off. All of a sudden it's normal. Well, ish. Normal-ish. I'm gonna drive up a little bit. Toggling back on. Try to make it so it's just barely breaking. Oh, I forgot to check and see if that, did that hurt your speakers when it was loud? Okay, it didn't hurt. Okay, I'm going to turn it up a little bit for you. Alright, go ahead and turn this off. And I'm going to check out other experiment that I did.
independent recording artists who have decided to record my voice.
I think this one might have been a little better.
So we're going to
Forget.
put the beat on that shit right now.
So basically what happens is the encode turns it up by I think like 60 dB and runs it into a thing called, I think it's called compansion or something, and then the decode reverses that, turns it back down by 60 dB, so whenever you run into it, it's like slams the hell out of things. And with EQs, it can make crazy things happen. And alternatively, what you can do, so I'm going to copy that, Control C, and go down here and paste. Wait, what just happened? This Control C, Control V. So alternatively, you can decode before you encode, in which case what happens is the opposite. It will make things become more subtle. So let's find something that's like, let me see, average. I think this is some sort of a low passing type or a low shelving type of thing that isn't actually an EQ, I forget. Let's hear this just by itself, see what it does. So that's extreme. Now let's make it more subtle. Well, possibly. Might do something completely different. Is that more subtle? Let's bring down the gain of the decode. Let's bring down the gain of the encode, then duplicate it. Just to be safe, I think I'll go ahead and let me see. Hopefully this is safe. We'll find out. Get ready.
And I can say whatever else I want because I'm standing out in front of Sizzle by meeting two independent recording artists who have decided to record my voice for their latest track. So we're going to go ahead and drop the beat on that shit right now. And I can say whatever else I want. And I can say whatever else I want.
This acceleration limiter, you can barely hear it at all. But I was wondering if we could hear it when this happens. Yeah, I think it's more strong with those on. So that's handy if you need to be able to hear your acceleration limiter. You have that. I think I recall this phase nudge thing being awesome. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, that's crazy. So this is without uLaw. Where does it get crazy? That's where it's like, you can obviously hear that. So here it is, like, can you hear the difference? Barely, and I have my headphones turned down, but now what happens? Whoa. That's crazy.
Pineapples are legit. And I can say whatever else I want because I'm standing out in front of Sizzle Pie, meeting two independent recording artists who have decided to record my voice for their latest track. So we're going to go ahead and drop the beat on that shit right now. Right now. Right now. Right now.
Then what happens when you double it up? I'm going to copy these and I'm going to paste them. Now we got a uLaw encode and decode within a uLaw encode and decode. So that extremeness is about to at least double, probably a lot more. I think I'll turn this phase nudge down first. Whoa. Whoa, the desk did that. Wow. Desk usually is just totally inaudible. In fact, like, check it out. Without the double layer of uLaw, you're not going to hear a difference when desk is on or off. That's because you can feed desk things that are going like 30 dB over 0 or something like that. Obviously more. But then check it out when we double up this. So just desk in there is freaking crazy. That's like so bad. Okay, that's enough of that for a minute. So I think I'll go ahead and get to what the experiment is actually going to be, which is dither noise. What I want to do is go ahead and load up DitherBox and maybe all of these other dithers, at least the Airwindows dithers. And I don't need these other. Actually, you know what? Well, might as well. So we can load these bad boys up. Everything that's not Airwindows, I'm going to go ahead and turn off for now. Some of these don't work sometimes. I think it's the problem with Reaper. They'll work if I restart Reaper, but I just don't feel like it right now. So the idea was not to have a bunch of dithers in sequence. What the idea is actually to do is have a bunch of duplicates of this track, run them in parallel with different dithers. Actually, what I wanted to do was, so let's start with just DitherBox. And then we're going to have bit shift gain before and after it. I think this is how you do it. There's a trick that Chris J from Airwindows does that, so I think he turns the first one down by 17 dB. Oh, is it minus 16 bits? Maybe it was like minus 13. I don't remember. I should have wrote that down. And then he turns it back up. So he turns the track way down. Minus 13 bits, that's like 6 times 13, that's 78 dB. So I might be doing this wrong. But then on DitherBox, oh, I see Reaper does not show this the way I want it to. I'm going to go ahead and use I'll use a Paul. Actually, I'm going to use the triangular dither. Actually, let's go for truncation. Should sound nice and bad. Point. Oh, I apologize. I had uLaw encode on, no decode. So that was hitting it by plus 60 dB and then minus 72. That's weird. Anyway. So what this trick does, by turning it way down and then way up, it allows us to hear audibly what the dither is actually doing, because normally the dither is so quiet that you could pile on like 10 dithers in sequence, and you're probably not going to hear. I mean, yeah, actually maybe 6 dithers in a row. That might be able to hear that, but still, let's see if we can hear it. You can hear the tape dither. Maybe I need to turn my headphones up.
We're gonna go ahead and drop the beat on that shit right now.
And here's Not Just Another Dither, which is, he updated it, and you can hear it, but it's a good fuzzy. What happened? A natural dither sounds good. I might use that on something. I think this double pawl one is nice too. And the pawl. That's what the Airwindows version of what Sonox Oxford's engineer, I believe. It did it again. Not sure I'm doing this right, because when he did it and he went to just truncate to 24, you could really clearly hear it. Oh, maybe I need to go to truncate to 16-bit. Yeah, we'll hear that. Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, I see. So basically, I want to stack up a bunch of things that are like if I can hear the audio, I don't want it. So what I want to do is duplicate a whole bunch of these, I think, but let's go to where this is where we can hear what the dither does. This is truncation, that's like nasty. This is flat. This is triangular point dither. Wow, it's a lot like flat. Except a little bit more like a tape hiss. And that pawl is nice. And then double pawl. Better. Tape. So I want to basically get stuff like this, but I want to hear the music a little bit.
And I can say whatever else I want because I'm standing out in front of Silver Box, meeting two independent recording artists who have decided to record my voice for their latest track. So we're going to go ahead and drop the beat on that shit right now. Right now. Right now. Right now. And I can say whatever else I want. And I can say whatever else I want.
I might not even need to stack up a bunch of these. That's high gloss. Use tape. Double pawl sounds really nice. When you use these like in a normal sense, you're not going to hear that. I mean, this stuff is like down below minus 128 dB or something. It's below, way below the noise floor. So, but what I want to do is I want to get it so that there's some texture there. I don't want to hear the track. There we go. Damn it. Wow, natural sounds nice. But not for most. I wouldn't use that as my final dither on most things. What I would use is that. So I would use this one for CD. And what I don't understand is Okay, I have my not just another dithers, but I made a duplicate of the old plugins, which are in my plugin folder, and I do not see them being recognized by Reaper, because I wanted to compare oops, I don't know why that's there. So here is the glorious library of the muzzles plugins. Oh yes, I have Waves, Soft Tube, Slate, ESP, Plugin Alliance, New Gen Audio, No Bad Factory, Melda Production, Push, Isotope, Eventide, Brainworks, Econ Digital, AOM, Acoustica, Audio Damage, Bitsonic, Sound Toys, Valhalla, Waves Factory, TDR. That's actually TDR is my second favorite under Airwindows because they have free plugins that are better than ones that you would pay $100 for. But out of all these plugins, for some reason, these ones are my favorite. These ones called Airwindows. And if you learned about Airwindows, you'd figure out why. But so here's the old ones, and they're not showing up in Reaper. I think maybe I have to rename each one. So let's see. If I rename not just another Dither, or let's go for DitherBox. And I'll go ahead and call it old, or I'll say not DitherBox old. Because if Reaper is still looking at this old plugins, then actually I know what I could do to just make triple sure that grab that desktop. And yeah, over 30 plugins, it takes that long to move them. So small. No exe files, no spyware, none of that. Go ahead and close Reaper. I should save first. I'll open Reaper. Yeah, because I just want to make sure that I'm using the new ones. And I want to compare them to the old ones. Because he updated all of his plugins with a dither to float, which they dither to float at 64-bit. And the only other engineer that he knows of that he thinks did the same thing as the one from Sony, Sonox Oxford, and his name is Paul something rather. So that's where that Paul Dither and Chris J did a double Paul. That's where those came from. So I'm going to rescan my plugins. You know what, I don't really need those compressors. Well, let's hear the song with them and without them. Yeah, this song doesn't need compression. Fatten the bass a little.
We're gonna go ahead and drop the beat on that shit right now. Shit right now.
Okay, you think that sounds bad? Watch this. I have not done this before. I don't know what's going to happen. Oh, wow. Oh. Interesting. Crazy, the gain does nothing. Oh yeah, now it does something. Maybe. Whoa. See right here, you can start here a resemblance of the dither. So like, let's turn all this crap off. And we'll compare it to just the dither with the bit shift gain trick so that we can hear the dither. So this is on, now this is off. Wow. I challenge anybody to name any other plugin or group of plugins that can make that sound that we just heard. Not saying that that was a great sound for most people, but yeah. Phase nudge is amazing, especially with desk. Just phase nudge alone is like sounds like it's like bit crushed or something. No, that's the phase. And it's just barely touching the phase, but then with uLaw. Now that's clearly a bit crusher. Sounds nice too. Actually, the sound of that right there reminds me of Frostwave Sonic Alienator, which is a very unique hardware unit that nobody ever could come close to getting the sound of it. But this, I think this sounds better, which is insane. And I've been finding stuff like that with Airwindows that's like for example, let's turn all this crap off. Oops. For example, so what I'm going to basically do is come up with a bunch of crazy different layers of stuff, but I'm going to use dither noise to where you can barely hear the track, and then stack them up, sum them, and do some other crazy stuff to get transient material out of it, hopefully. But so let me find something from Airwindows that's like, it's like the thing with emulators. Like there's a whole bunch of emulator plugins where they're like, oh, this sounds like Neve, right? Or this sounds like this and that and the other hardware unit. They're all like, it's modeled to be 100% correctly accurate to exactly what it's doing. And yes, they in some cases have 100% accurately modeled all of the processing that happens in the hardware units. But here's the problem. That's a lot of math going on in order for the digital to emulate that. There's a lot of math that happens in those analog hardware units. And so the more math that happens, the more the audio is processed with more and more math and more algorithms and more stuff in the code going on. Every single time there's a chunk of math, some small amount of bits are lost in audio. Now, people argue that, yeah, you can argue that some of those bits are lost, but even if like 100 million times that amount, you're still not going to hear a difference. But evidence shows that people compared the hardware units to the software, at least as of a year ago. I think that maybe some of the new ones they're still hype. It's still a hype machine. They're like, oh, nobody's ever had this. They accurately modeled it before, but they didn't have the filters or the this and that and the other correctly matching it too. They're, with some of the EQ plugins, they matched the is it the filter offset or something, or the I don't even know. I can't think of the words. Basically, like if you look at your EQ plugins, such as, for example, Isotope Ozone EQ, you can show the other curves and it'll show you like the phase alignment and a couple others. I could show you right now, but I'm not going to load up. It takes forever to load. Anyway, they're still claiming that, oh, this is like the hardware unit. And when people test it, they're like, sounds good, but just like this little something missing. Can't really define what it is, but the hardware always sounds better. Well, in the case of Airwindows, actually this PathNutty I want to load, the new one. Let me find one that I know for sure that I haven't used that tape fab. I haven't tried out the Verimu either. Verimu Unbox is nice. The Spiral plugin is nice. Actually, for distortion, I will say this Spiral plugin and Spiral 2, they sound better than, to me, like what a lot of hardware units sound like. But if you want to go something along the lines of is tube desk and trans desk and desk plugins, great. And the thing about these plugins is they're not, or even like the Purest gain, all of the Purest, in fact, all of these PurestConsole Bus, Channel, Purest Drive, Purest Echo, Purest Gain. I'm going to use these in my Dither experiment, but I need to figure out how to use the channel and the bus. I'm pretty sure I know how to, but that's going to take a while to set up. And these are for if you want to get the sound of an analog hardware console, which you need more than one channel of audio going into it in order, because it's the way it sums it together. And then when you have EQ or compression, and then it sounds nice. And that's why we have all these emulation plugins that lose enough bits to not be as good as the hardware. But with the Airwindows plugins, he's doing like one mathematical algorithm, just one that he came up with, and a lot of the times they're ones that are only possible in the digital realm. It's doing something that is completely not emulating. It's doing something completely different, but it's getting you the same style of sound. The goal of it is to get the sound that he could get from the hardware stuff that he was building and that he used, for years and years and loved, the tube stuff and triode thingies, all that other stuff. What's another good example? Oh, Buttercomp 2, by the way, is the best compressor I've ever heard for glue. I've used every single one of the glue plugins on the market. Well, at least as of, I admit I stopped using compressors about 2.5 years ago in my mastering, unless it really needs it, because I can use my maximizers in a way that if I needed compression, I just use a very slow limiter instead. I think that might be specific to Ozone, the way I use it. But what's a good example? All of the console emulations, they did a blind A/B CD comparison with like Waves and Slate and Softtube and all the best console emulation plugins, all the best ones. And then they were like, and here's this dude from Airwindows, this little guy over here, and they used his original channel plugin, which at the time he had one that he worked really hard on. I think it was was it the Purest channel? No, that wasn't out yet. He had one that he like spent all this time making, a lot better than his original channel one. So they used his crappiest one, and then when people heard the same track, all the different plugin emulations, non-emulations in this case, and hands down the one that was his original channel plugin was voted to be the best sounding. It was like over 95% of people all agreed, wow, that one sounds good. What is that one? Turns out it's something that you can only do in the digital world. One, or actually, don't quote me on 2 or 3, but the idea is to not lose all those bits trying to because digital is its own thing and it can be better than analog in a lot of ways, but different. And by making it different, it becomes something that's a lot more useful than trying to imitate that great sound that we have loved even before then. A good example is the 2Tape plugin and From Tape. I've used a lot of tape emulators, and especially the ones that have like just 5 or 6 knobs or whatever. None of them could be close to comparing, and the ones that could possibly compare, but in my opinion don't, like for example the Waves Abbey Roads tape. Nice. Waves got another nice one, Kramer. Soft Tube has at least one nice one, sort of Slate. And a bunch of other companies, they all have really nice stuff. I'm not saying their stuff is crap. I'm not saying it's not worth the money. I'm just saying that this one called 2Tape, the other one called From Tape, for me sounded better right away, and they had like 3 knobs. It took me like 30 seconds to dial in. And I might be hyping it up. I'm sure somebody's going to see this and be like, I compared this one to Waves Kramer tape and Waves 1. And then I'll be like, okay, then I'll give it another shot. Because I do listen to people. But one of my favorites, actually, is this 2 Vinyl 4. And I'll load it up as long as it loads up correctly. Oh, I was going to load all those other ones too. And I'll just show you how this sounds. And I use this in a lot of my mastering projects. Not all the time, but sounds good. Actually, go ahead and load up Grooveware. So that you can hear the difference between the Groovewares that are separate from it. And I'll go ahead and stick some uLaws around it. I'll have off at first. Actually, I'll try the decode first. Decode before encode to make it subtle. And I'm going to turn this off, turn this off. This. Oops. And I'll just show you this first.
We're gonna go ahead and drop the beat on that shit right now. All is good. All is good.
So it's got a side high pass. You want to mono your bass. Recommend monoing it about 91 Hz. But I think his is a slow, gradual slope. So in that case, in here. See how the high pass on the mids clean up the subs a bit.
Pineapples are legit. And I can say whatever else I want because I'm standing out in front of Sizzle by meeting two independent recording artists who have decided to record my voice for their latest.
So this H limit here, you're not even going to hear it until it's like up maybe around here. That's the acceleration limiter that he has in the acceleration plugin. So that will tame the highs, like the hi-hats, really well. I'm going to put it around here. I'll show you this groove where. I like it to be about there where you can just barely hear it. And then what I'll do, I wish he had put a clean blend because I do this, but I usually take out the groove wear when I do that because I don't want to create a flanging effect. And then for mastering, like I'm going to bring this down to like there, a little bit more. My mouse is not working very well. So there it is at 27%, the off and on. In this case, I like it better without it. Let's put it back to 100% with some groove wear. In this case, I don't like it on this song, but that's one of the plugins that I use a lot, if I can. Mastering. I use the acceleration limiter a lot, or the average, or the slew. But let's get back to this Dither experiment.
Meeting two independent recording artists who have decided to record my voice for their latest track. So we're going to go ahead and drop the beat on that shit right now. Right now. Right now. Right now.
I'm talking about right there. Weird that the encode makes it quieter. I think it's because of these bit shift gains. There we go. Actually, that's still way too much of the original track.
We're gonna go ahead and drop the beat on that shit right now.
I think what I want to do is this, and then I'm not even sure what these bit shift gains are doing inside of uLaw. And I think I'm going to actually ask Chris to look into that. Whoa. Wow. I think I'm going to render this one.
I can say whatever else I want because I'm standing out in front of Silver Bar, meeting two independent recording artists who have decided to record my voice for their latest track. So we're gonna go ahead and drop the beat on that shit right now, right now, right now, right now. And I can say whatever else I want. And I can say whatever else.
And then the dither's in 24-bit. A lot less extreme with that. I think the truncate actually. So I'm gonna render this. Oh, you know what? I forgot. Ooh, I forgot something important. It is at 48K sample rate at 32-bit float. I think I told him to use Dither float. So yeah, wow. Or I told him to not use a Dither. I'm not sure which he did. But I will ask. Oh, in fact, I wonder if he's still viewing. Oh, he said that it's really quiet. Oh yeah, it is really quiet. Okay. If you're still there, Sergio, let me know if that's better. The only problem with this is then when I hit one of those loud points, it's going to be really bad. So what I actually need to do is change my sample depth. Windows and in Reaper. That should have been the first thing that I did. I have to close Reaper actually. I'll save this. Save. Change my Oh, I changed it back to direct sound. Okay. That's right. Okay. Usually I use my ASIO driver, but that didn't seem to be working in OBS. So, save, close it. Oh, I have to close OBS too. Can't see my monitor right now because the sun is hitting. I'm gonna have to close OBS. Are you still there, Sergio? If anybody else is there, leave a comment on the YouTube. I kind of doubt anybody was watching on Twitch, but I'll check that. Oh, I think I need to sign into an account on Twitch on my other computer. I don't know if I'll be able to see chat. Nobody's watching, so it's all good. I think that my other laptop is ancient, so I can't really do much with it. I want to see if anybody's viewing right now. It appears no one is viewing right now, so I'm going to go ahead and close OBS and I'll be back maybe 30 minutes to an hour, maybe less. And I think that try to get back to what the original idea was, which was to get sound from Dither without being able to hear the song. You could hear the song. See you guys next time. I'm David Pixley, the muzzle mastering. Was not an example of my mastering. Shout out to Chris from Airwindows.